What's up guys? I thought I would do an interesting video tonight talking about wrestling. I'm talking about sort of for me as a wrestling fan, some of my, what I would say were feel-good moments in WWE. Because there have been plenty of feel-good moments for me that I think have made WWE so damn good. So, the first for me, I think the first one for me is the Hardy Boys' return at WrestleMania 33. Now, WrestleMania 33 was an interesting show, to say the least. Obviously, you had The Undertaker facing Roman Reigns, you had, obviously, Seth Rollins facing Triple H, obviously, you had Bayley go in and come out of WrestleMania 33 as the women's champion. It was a good show. And I remember, as obviously it was the match that the Hardy Boys returned. It was a triple threat match at first, and obviously the New Day, they were hosting WrestleMania 33, and they came out onto the stage and they said, "Oh, there's going to be a fourth team in the match," and everyone was thinking, "Who the fuck is it? Who the fuck is it? You know, who is it going to be?" And the moment that the Hardy Boys music hit, wow, what a pop! Like it was such a feel good moment. Obviously, they've been gone from WWE for a few years. By that point, I think it was. I remember exactly when they left WWE. I think it was around about 2009 or 2010 that they left. And obviously they went to TNA, and then obviously they came back to WWE in 2017. Which was a big time for WWE. In terms of you know in terms of programming. I mean, it was a huge return, obviously, for the Hardy Boys, and it was such a feel-good moment. Obviously, when they won the match as well, they entered it, and obviously they won the match. It became a fatal four-way. Hardys won. What a night! And it's like that's one of those special moments in professional wrestling that I remember so well. It was like such it was one of, I think, WrestleMania 33. I don't know why, but it just feels like it's always been one of my favourite WrestleManias, to be honest. I mean, there have been some brilliant WrestleMania pay-per-views and some WrestleMania pay-per-views that will be forgotten, and for good reason. But WrestleMania 33, well, I feel like it wasn't a bad show. I think it was one of the better WrestleManias we saw. Um, and I think it was the Hardy Boys' return made that night so good. As that was obviously at a time where they were doing like the one night WrestleManias. Obviously, they didn't start doing the 2 night WrestleManias until after, until 2021. And I think it was interesting, seeing the Hardy Boys return. It was a huge moment. So the next up for me is Daniel Bryan winning the WWE Championship, Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania 30. Now, obviously, I remember the poor reception towards the 2014 Royal Rumble. There was a few key moments that people weren't happy with. So obviously Batista won the Royal Rumble match, and people weren't happy. I remember they were furious about the fact that Batista had won the Royal Rumble, as I think everybody wanted Daniel Bryan to win it and felt that he should have won it, but he didn't. Batista had Batista win it. It was also obviously a well-known match, because obviously it ended up being the final match of CM Punk's run in WWE. He would leave after that match. But it could have been, he could have been seriously hurt that night, as he suffered a concussion during the match. And instead of having him being taken out of the match, they had him continue the match, and they had Kane put him through the announcer's table ringside. And I remember watching that spot back, and I just thought to myself, like, why did they do that spot? Knowing that CM Punk had suffered a concussion and was in no fit spot, and was in no fit state to actually take that spot where he was put through the announcer's table. They should have done it. But they could have made things a whole lot worse, by having him fight, thankfully it didn't, but it could have done, But I as a wrestling fan, I wasn't best pleased with the fact that Batista won the Rumble. I did feel that Daniel Bryan should have won it. So I was I was very happy for him when he got that WrestleMania moment, and obviously it was that time, obviously, where he met Honor McHollick before the show, and Honor was there in the front row, and I remember him embracing Honor after he won the title, and it was such a lovely moment to see, like Daniel Bryan, you know, yeah, it's starting how he left WWE, and I think he hasn't done, obviously, he hasn't done too badly in AEW, but he was one of the best, one of my favourite wrestlers when he was in WWE, and I think, not love Daniel Bryan, and I think he really deserved that WrestleMania moment at WrestleMania 30. It was a really feel good moment, a really, a very, sort of feel good moment. So next up for me, on my list is the Boss 'n' Hug Connection Women and Women's Tag Championships at the Elimination Chamber. So obviously, I was really happy for the women's wrestlers in WWE when it was announced that they were going to be, having women's tag team championships. And I felt like that's something that we needed to see in WWE. But I think it's sad when you think about the women's tag team championships, because it kind of feels like they've sort of become somewhat irrelevant in WWE. Obviously over the past few years. I mean, when was the last time that the women's tag team championships were actually defended on a major PLE? I think it's been a while since anyone's actually defended them on a PLE. Like, that just shows how irrelevant, the women's tag team championships have become, and they're not even being defended on at the premium live events. It shows that they obviously don't give a shit about the women's tag team championships, to be fairly honest. I mean, I was really, really pleased for the Boss 'n' Hug Connection when they won the women's tag team championships at Elimination Chamber, and I was gutted for them when they lost a match at WrestleMania 35. And to be honest, I never really understood why they had the Iconics win that match. I don't think anybody really wanted to see the Iconics win the tag team championships. If I remember it correctly, the other two tag teams in the match were Beth Phoenix and Natalya, which was an interesting duo, and then Nia Jax and Tamina. And if either of those duos had won the women's tag team championships, I would have said, I wouldn't have had a problem with that, but I never understood the reasoning for putting the women's tag team championships on the Iconics. Like, it was just one of those things that didn't make a lot of sense. I think, it feels like that, Bayley and Sasha, they should have had a lengthy reign with the women's tag team championships instead of just losing them after 2 months. It kind of makes the women's tag team championships feel a little bit meaningless. Because it's like, when was the last time, a women's tag team actually had a decent run with the women's tag team championships? It's been a while, so, I mean, but as I said, real feel good moment at Elimination Chamber when the Boss 'n' Hug Connection won the women's tag team championships that night. And one of the moments I remember quite well. So the next feel good moment for me was, or it's always going to be, Edge's return at the Royal Rumble in 2020. Like, that for me was unbelievable. Like, to see Edge back in the ring after 9 years. Because I think at one point with Edge it felt like it was never going to happen. But the fact that it has happened, and it shows that miracles do happen, and I think, we've seen that. I feel that I've had a feel good moments where, superstars like Edge and Daniel Bryan were forced to retire, and they've been able to come out of retirement, they've been medically cleared to return to wrestling, and, it's nice when you see moments like that, where wrestlers get to, are actually medically cleared, and are able to return to wrestling. Obviously it's quite a nice moment to see. I mean, Edge, that return at the Royal Rumble 2020 will always go down as one of my favourite Royal Rumble moments. It's hard, I feel like there's not really been sort of an iconic moment in a Rumble match that has really topped that over the past few years. I think, I mean, I'm not saying that the men's Royal Rumbles have been a bit lackluster over the past few years, but they've certainly not been that spectacular. You know, I'm not saying that they've been crap, but they've just not lit the world, they've not lit the state, not lit the arena on fire, have they really? They've not been that good. But, yeah, I mean, Edge returning at the Rumble, what a feel-good moment that was. You know, I love watching, going back and actually watching that moment, because it was such a good moment to see, and it's a moment, it's like, that moment I love so much, seeing the rest, seeing Edge return after 9 years. Like, I was so stoked for him that night, and so, you know, so happy for him that he was able to return, and that he was able to get back in the ring, after 9 years of would it happen, or will it happen, won't it happen? It finally did happen at the Royal Rumble 2020, and it was just such a good moment. And it made that Royal Rumble match so special because we got to see a legend return, a legend that we hadn't seen wrestle for 9 years. So what a night, with a Rumble match. My next feel good moment for me in wrestling was the return of Bray Wyatt at the Extreme Rules 2022. Now, I still, obviously I've said it, I've said it before, but Vince McMahon made a huge mistake in releasing Bray Wyatt. That was something he should never have done. And obviously the way that they brought Bray back in 2022 was just incredible. With all of the White Rabbit teasers. I don't think anybody knew for definite that they were teasing Bray, but I think there was that kind of general opinion. I think a lot of the majority of people who kind of suspected that these were teasers for Bray Wyatt, as there wasn't nobody else really, people don't think of anyone else that they could have been a teaser for. I mean, obviously we know that Harry Ross used to be the White Rabbit and people thought it was him, but it ended up being Braun Strowman. It ended up being Bray Wyatt. I mean, when I think of names like the fact that Braun Strowman returned, and Bray Wyatt was brought back, I think Triple H did the right thing there. I mean, obviously, I never understood why he brought names like Tegan Knox and Emma back to WWE, because he brought them back, but he never did anything with them. So what was the point in bringing them back if he wasn't actually going to do anything with them? This is the problem here. Is it's like, I do feel sorry for them, because they got released from WWE. Triple H brings them back, and then he does nothing with them. So their returns are basically pointless. It has to be said. I mean, obviously, Dexter's return, Dexter Lumis's return wasn't a bad thing, because obviously he's now a member of the Wyatt Six, who we've not seen on TV for quite some time, and I'm not sure when they'll be back on TV again, hopefully in the next month or so. I did see reports that Bo Dallas is injured, though, which is maybe why they're being kept off TV, because obviously Bo Dallas aren't doing stuff as Uncle Howdy at the moment. But I don't know if that's true or not. But yeah, I mean, obviously for me, I love that moment at Extreme Rules 2022 and Bray return. That was just incredible. It felt so good to see him back in WWE, and it's crazy to think that a year later he'd be gone. A year later, just a year later, he would no longer be with us. Obviously, he died the following August, which obviously left a lot of people stunned. But his return at Extreme Rules 2022, I definitely would say, was one of those kind of feel-good moments in WWE where, you love to see it. It was a really good moment, and I liked it, to be honest. I think it was one of those things. It was one of those things that Triple H actually got right. It's like Nia Jax. It was funny because when Nia Jax first returned back in late 2023, I was a bit kind of the mindset of why has Triple H brought Nia back. Obviously we know how controversial Nia had been in her prior run with WWE before she was released, but now when I look at it, I think, yeah, Triple H absolutely did the right thing in bringing Nia back. And she's improved so much in this second run with WWE. She's just been absolutely phenomenal. really did deserve to win a women's title at SummerSlam. It was a great moment for her. I'm very excited to see what they do with Nia Jax this year in 2025. Hopefully this year will be just as great a year for her as last year was. But we'll see what happens, Nia, she's definitely not as bad as she used to be. So, yeah, that's for sure. But yeah, in terms of feel-good moments, that was definitely one of the moments, another one of those moments, one of those things that Triple H got right in the end. In terms of other feel-good moments, I would say Cody Rhodes' return at WrestleMania 38. It was so crazy seeing him back in WWE. I mean, Cody was one of those names that I didn't think would ever return to WWE. I think, he was doing so well in AEW. I thought, what would be what are the likely chances of him going back to WWE? Obviously we've seen recent names come from AEW to back to WWE. Obviously, we've seen Shawn Spears return to WWE. We've seen obviously formerly Ty Dillinger. Then obviously went to AEW, became Shawn Spears, and Shawn Spears is his real name. And obviously now he's back in WWE. We might be seeing Malachi Black return as well, which would be interesting. Obviously, for me, I think that it was huge to see Cody Rhodes return at WrestleMania 38. And it's been so great having him back in WWE the past couple of years. He's just been incredible to watch. Like, one of the real great guys. So moving on, obviously, and this next one relates to Cody, and it's him winning the WWE Undisputed title at WrestleMania 40. Now, I was so happy for Cody last year when he got to finish the story. We all thought he was going to do it at WrestleMania 39 and not losing to Roman at WrestleMania 39. And it was like a story that was like, an illusion that was like a year in the making. I feel like, and it's also funny when you think about the fact that Cody Rhodes is like the first wrestler to win, but I think it's the first wrestler to win back-to-back Royal Rumbles anyway. I don't know for sure though, but I believe that he is the first wrestler to win back-to-back Royal Rumbles. I don't think anyone else has done it before, or done that before, should I say. He's just incredible. Just absolutely incredible. For Cody to win that title at WrestleMania 40. Finally finishing the story, and it's just such a real feel-good moment, and it really capped off what I think was the better night of WrestleMania 40. I'm not saying that WrestleMania 40 night one was garbage, but I do feel like WrestleMania 40 night 2 was actually a lot better. In reality, I think it was so much better than night 1. And I loved every minute of the Cody Rhodes match at WrestleMania 40, seeing the likes of John Cena and The Undertaker come out to help Cody. The Rock coming out to try and help Roman. And it was just one of the best WrestleMania matches we've seen for the last sort of 5 years or so. So the next feel-good moment for me was Triple H's title is Roman Reigns' title reign. Now, Roman Reigns, wow, like what a title reign he had. Just that title reign he had was. Obviously a lot of people will have their own opinions on his title reigns. He did have a lot of matches where he did have help to win. Obviously, he never actually won by himself, but like Roman. The last few years he's just been incredible. And I will acknowledge him. Because Roman Reigns is a wrestler who deserves to be acknowledged. He's an absolute pioneer. It's nice that he's have a star of WWE 2K25 as well. Then like the Bloodline themed Showcase as well. I like the sound of that. I mean, I think Roman deserves that. Obviously being on Harbour again, he's not been at Harbour Style since WWE 2K20, a game that we don't talk about, obviously, for obvious reasons. But yeah, I mean, I loved Roman Reigns' title reign, and I was I was sad for Roman that his title reign, his title reign was done, but I was also happy for Cody because he got to finish the story, so, you know, it made me feel different emotions. It made me feel sad for Roman, but it also made me feel happy for Cody because he got to finish that story at WrestleMania 40, so it wasn't a bad thing. Some Roman Reigns fans will think that Cody shouldn't have won the title, but but the problem with Cody's title reign, though, he's not really defended his title against anyone that I would say was like noteworthy he's not really had any kind of, like massive title matches, apart from obviously the ladder match at the Royal Rumble event at the Royal Rumble PLE on Saturday, which obviously he defeated Kevin Owens. That match was brutal, and it has been reported that Cody Rhodes suffered injuries during that match, but they've not confirmed whether he's legitimately injured or if it's just like what, storyline related injury. But he will be on SmackDown this week. They confirmed that. I'm thinking they have Cody Rhodes hit the title now to WrestleMania 40. I feel like WrestleMania 41 rather. I do think Cody Rhodes is going to end up losing the title at WrestleMania 41. When I look at WrestleMania 41, it's just hard to see Gunther losing to Jay. I mean, are they really going to have Jey Uso win the World Heavyweight title at WrestleMania 41? I don't feel like that's going to happen. I feel like something's going to happen with John Cena. I feel like John Cena's going to win the Elimination Chamber match. And it's going to go on and obviously potentially face, I think it's going to be a situation where Jay faces Gunther and Cody faces John Cena at WrestleMania 40. I still feel like that's the match they're going to do, despite the fact that John Cena didn't win the Rumble match. I still think they're gonna have him. He's gonna have a title match at WrestleMania 40. I think that he will be the one that faces Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania 40 for the Undisputed Championship. Because obviously Jay will be facing Gunther, so they'll need someone to face Cody, and I think it'll be John Cena versus Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania 41 for the Undisputed Championship. And I think Cody Rhodes loses the title to John Cena at WrestleMania 41, and John Cena becomes the 17-time world champion and will break the record set by the Nature Boy Ric Flair. Now, in terms of other fielded moments, for me was the debut of Ronda Rousey. Now, Ronda, obviously her second run in the company was a major flop and a major disaster, but her first run in the company was truly something special. Obviously, it ended in a bit of a cloud of controversy, because obviously the way that the match finished at WrestleMania 35, it looked like Ronda's shoulders were up when Becky went for the pin. So, but Ronda, I think her debut at WrestleMania 40, it was nice to see her getting that match against her and to take on Triple H and Stephanie. I think that's actually the last time we actually saw Stephanie McMahon actually wrestle. Was at WrestleMania 34 match where she teamed up with her husband Triple H, and they went up against her Angle and Ronda. And I thought that match was pretty good. And I was very happy for her when she went on to WrestleMania, when she went on to SummerSlam 2018 and ended up winning the title from Alexa Bliss. She deserved that. In terms of other filtered moments, I would say for me was the debut of The Fiend. Now, The Fiend's debut in 2019 was amazing. I just wish that they had done better with The Fiend. Because, you sit here and you think, like, what could have been with The Fiend? They could have done so much better with The Fiend. It was like, he was one of the darkest characters, but one of the best, like, creepiest characters. And Bray Wyatt, this is what I've said so many times about Bray Wyatt, is he was so good at portraying characters like the Fiend. You know, that was something that Bray Wyatt was so good at, and it was something that made him so truly special to so many wrestling fans. Was his ability to portray different characters. Whatever character he was portraying, he portrayed it incredibly well. It was just unbelievable. Seeing him portray a character that well, it was just unbelievable, just amazing to see that, and you think to yourself, like, wow. Just wow. Like, I don't know what to say, really. But yeah, one of those kind of feel-good moments was the Fiend's debut. Really cool seeing him, obviously seeing him finally debut after so long. But yeah, I mean, there have been a lot of feel-good moments in WWE. There's been so many, it's like, it's hard to remember a lot of them, like, it's been crazy to think about some of the best moments, some of the great moments we've seen in WWE over the last few years. And over the last sort of 10, 20 years, and it's just like incredible to think about the history of WWE and to think about how to think about what WWE is like now, comparing it back to like 30 years, like 20 odd years ago. It's just mental to think that WWE is where it's at now. And to think that women's wrestling is such a big thing nowadays, because back in the day, women's wrestling wasn't that special. But now it's become a lot more relevant, it's become a lot more ahead about, and you love to see it. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this little video. I thought I would talk about, for me, some of my feel-good moments from the WWE for the last 10 years or so. And talk about moments that have really stood out to me and have really wowed me. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you for another one soon. Bye bye.